Well, this morning we're going to see something a little bit different. And, you know, we've said this before, sometimes you've got to start kids at a really young age in order to get them interested and involved in particular sports or activities. Now, Ron Dupuis joins us here at Windsor Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You're going to tell me a little bit about what you guys do here, but more importantly, just so people kind of have an understanding, there's Jiu-Jitsu and then there's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Is there a difference?
Yes. Traditionally, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu starts standing up as a series of joint locks and upper body controls. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu starts where other martial arts leave off. Once they clinch, take the person to the ground, that's our round.
Okay.
So we live on the ground. We don't care how we get there.
Okay, as long as you get there.
We're happy.
Okay, you're going to take us through, we've got a bunch of young ones who are ready and prepared to do something. Obviously, taking them through drills is important. Similar to if you were doing exercise, you want to start off with basics and then work your way up. What are they doing right now? What is this promoting?
We call that Spider-Man, and they get to work hand-feet coordination. At this age, they work balance and coordination. All these drills are designed to help them do that. Moving hands and legs at the same time. You see some of them a little bit more coordinated than others. They just got a head start on everything.
Does that help that after you do this repetitively, that maybe that coordination gets better?
Oh, absolutely.
So it's more repetition that ends up making a difference.
It's just like anything, like dribbling a basketball. When you first start off, it's hard.
Yeah,
You
riding a bike,
watch the pros and they make it look so easy. Same thing with these kids. As they advance, they'll get more coordinated, they'll fit into their bodies better, and they'll start to be smoother in their movements.
Now, Ron, I mentioned right off the top that, you know, starting young in a lot of things makes a substantial difference. How young can you start your child?
They start around 4 to 4.5. 4.5 is usually good. If they want to sit with mom from time to time, that's fine too.
Sure, okay. Now here's the opposite question. You talk about starting at, you can start at as young as 4. Can you start at any age if you're older and have never done anything like this?
Yes.
Is it just about your motivation then?
Yeah, your motivation and your health level.
Okay. To be able to do something along.
We did have a guy come over last week that had a quadruple bypass, and he thought this might be good for him. We said, he better get a doctor.
You're not kidding. You're not kidding. Now, what is this that they're doing right here?
They're doing a shrimping drill, and the shrimping drill is kind of like the basis for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's an escape we can use from a lot of different positions. And they're just, if you watch older kids do it, it'll look a little bit different.
Oh, yeah.
But they're just
again, progression, right?
You got it.
Okay.
You got it.
By doing this, though, does it make it easier for them once they get older, once they get better, and once they go into competition?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The more you practice anything, the better you're going to get. Well, all my helpers today came out of the LiL Dragons program, except for Eric. He's been with me for like 8 years.
The guys that are all dressed in the
blue. Yes.
The question that I wanted to ask you, if I wanted to get involved, how do I do so?
You just come down to the school.
Okay.
Or you can check out our website.
Which is?
And www.windsorBrazilianJiujitsu.com.
And then find out from there. Can you start at any given moment?
You can start anytime you want to. We'll do an introductory with me. Usually I can bring you through like a half-hour introductory just to let you know what to expect. You get to watch a class, and then you can jump right in.
Perfect. Well, for more information, as you mentioned, you can check out their website. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break, but we're not done. We want to talk a little bit more about some of the things that some of the parents need to know. You know, if something ever were to happen to your child, someone were to confront your child, pin them to the ground, what do you do? Windsor Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is our location. Ron Dupuis joining us. You see these two guys are doing something, and we've been talking about this. What's going on in this particular instance? Maybe you can take us through, Ron.
Well, what they're doing is they're working on just a basic escape from the mounted position. Mounted position is very common in every schoolyard around the world, of course, when someone's on top of you and you don't want them there. So Alex just reversed the position, ended up at Zach's guard. So now Zach's going to do the same thing. He'll mount him again, and you get to see that bump and roll one more time for us.
Okay, so let's say child number 1 comes up and grabs you. You're in the middle of a playground, does this. The maneuver, when he bumps him up like that, is the idea to get him off of you? Is that the first option?
The idea is to bring his weight forward.
Okay.
So now there's no weight on his legs. You can trap his arm and just roll him over. Nobody gets hurt, and he just reverses the position, keeps himself out of trouble. There's no striking, there's no muscle, it's all just technique. So it doesn't matter the size of the child on top or the size of the child on bottom.
Now, I was just going to ask you that. So weight doesn't play a factor. more so just the technique?
Always a technique.
Okay, knowing how to get out of a particular position. Let's take a look at another position. If somebody were in a playground or outside and they were to be taken advantage of, what are some of the other things that you might see?
One of the positions would be a guard. So Alex, put Zach in a guard. So this guard position here, it may look like the fellow that's on his knees is in a position to attack, but he's really not. The guy in the bottom has all the tools to defend himself. Can we see an armbar? This is an armbar position where he traps the other opponent's arm. In rare instances, usually the person will stop and he'll tap Zach, show the tap. So he taps his opponent and says, there's enough pressure on my arm, please don't break it, and we start over again.
Now, I mean, stare at that for 1 second. When you see that, it appears as though the guy who's on his knees has the control, because he's the one who's pinned someone down, but not necessarily the case just by appearance.
Yes, it does look like that, but he just can't get up and walk away because he's got to drag out of the body with him. And if he reaches his hands anywhere towards the bottom person's neck, he'll get trapped. Look, there's an arm bar. Can we see a triangle? It's a triangle choke, and this can put him unconscious. Can we see an omoplata?
Wow, so there's a lot of different ways of getting out of a situation that you might not necessarily think you could.
Lots.
This is, I mean, obviously we're showing this with kids. I mean, we're not by any means promoting violence, but I mean, if you're going to be in a situation, it is a question of not being victimized and being able to protect yourself.
Absolutely. And you really don't have to hurt the person. You can just control them and get out of the situation, or survive long enough until help comes.
True. And that's, I mean, I guess what you've said, that's key, is being able to get out of that situation so that you're out of harm's way, and then whether it's calling someone or just being out of the situation makes a substantial difference.
Sure.
Let's talk about your website again. If people want more information, they can check your website out.
At www.windsorbrazilianjiu-jitsu.com.
And you have courses that are available for both men, women, young, old, doesn't matter.
Everybody.
Even someone in stilettos.
Everybody.
Yeah, see?
Everybody.
You never know. I mean, I think I could do it. We are going to take a little bit of a break, and again, as you mentioned, do check out their website. When we come back, we're going to take a couple of the guys, kind of something almost like UFC kind of.
Sure.
We're going to show that, but not with me.
You can do that.
Why is that funny?